Most insects mate the way you would expect. A male finds a female, they cooperate, and both walk away relatively unharmed. It is not really romantic, but it is functional. However, one specific insect evolved a very different way of mating. It evolved a reproductive strategy so violent, so fundamentally wrong, that scientists gave it a name that sounds like a medical procedure: traumatic insemination. This is not an exaggeration. The male does not just mate with the female. He stabs her through her exoskeleton with a needle-sharp organ and injects sperm directly into her body cavity. This is how every single one of them reproduces. But before we get to the nightmare, let us establish what we are dealing with. An insect that every single one of you absolutely hates, and for obvious reasons. We are talking about bedbugs. Bedbugs are small, about 5 millimeters long, roughly the size of an apple seed. They are flat and oval-shaped, and they turn reddish-brown after feeding on blood. They feed on human blood specifically. They are parasites that have evolved to feed exclusively on warm-blooded animals, and they are exceptionally good at finding humans. They live where you sleep, in your mattress seams, bed frames, and inside electrical outlets. They prefer places that are dark and close to a sleeping person. They are nocturnal. They wait until you're asleep, crawl onto your skin, bite you, feed for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then retreat back into hiding. And they are everywhere. Bedbug infestations have exploded in the last 2 decades, in hotels, apartments, dorm rooms, and hospitals. They are in every major city on Earth. They are pesticide resistant. They can survive months without feeding, and once you have them, they are nearly impossible to eliminate. But the bites aren't the real nightmare. The real nightmare is how they make more of themselves. To understand how disturbing bedbug reproduction is, you need to understand how normal insect reproduction works. Most insects have a relatively straightforward system. The female has a reproductive opening called a gonopore. It is designed specifically for receiving sperm. The male has a corresponding organ designed to deliver sperm to that opening. They mate. Sperm enters through the correct biological channel. It travels to the female's sperm storage organ and eventually fertilizes her eggs. It is cooperative. The female's body is built for this process. There is no injury and no open wounds. Both insects walk away unharmed and go about their lives. Some insects even have elaborate courtship rituals. Males perform dances, offer gifts, and compete for female attention. The female chooses. She has agency in the process, and if she is not interested, she can refuse. This is normal, but bedbugs do none of this. Here is what actually happens when bedbugs reproduce. The male does not approach the female's reproductive opening. He does not wait for cooperation. He does not need her consent. Instead, he climbs onto her back, positions himself over her abdomen, and stabs her. His reproductive organ, called a paramere, is sharp, needle-like. It is specifically evolved to pierce through the female's exoskeleton. And that is exactly what it does. He drives it through the right side of her abdomen, puncturing directly through her body wall. He is not aiming for any reproductive organ. He is not even aiming for anything specific inside her body. He just stabs through her exoskeleton and injects sperm directly into her hemocoel. That is the insect equivalent of a blood cavity, the space where her internal organs float in hemolymph. The sperm then has to swim through her body fluid, past her organs, until it eventually reaches her ovaries and fertilizes her eggs. This is traumatic insemination. Every single scientific detail of that name is accurate. Now, here's where it gets worse. Females have evolved a response to this. They have developed a specialized organ called the spermalogy. It is essentially a patch of scar tissue on the right side of their abdomen, exactly where males tend to stab. It is filled with immune cells. Its only purpose is to reduce the damage from being repeatedly stabbed. Think about what that means. This happens so often, so consistently, that evolution created a biological band-aid for it. Females did not evolve a way to stop it. They evolved a way to survive it slightly better. But the spermolege does not prevent injury. It just limits it. Every mating still creates an open wound. Every wound is a potential infection vector. This can happen multiple times in a single day. Studies have shown that females mated multiple times have significantly shorter lifespans than females mated less frequently. The damage accumulates. Their immune systems are constantly fighting infections. Their bodies are covered in tiny scars from repeated stabbings. And the males don't care, because from the male's perspective, this strategy works. He does not need the female to cooperate. He does not need to compete with other males for her attention. He does not need courtship. He just needs to be stronger than her for 30 seconds. And his genes get passed on. The female's suffering is irrelevant to natural selection. Her shortened lifespan does not matter as long as she lives long enough to lay eggs, and she does. Evolution does not optimize for well-being. It optimizes for reproduction. This is what sexual conflict looks like at the genetic level. Males evolve traits that benefit their reproduction, even if it harms females. Females evolve defenses, but those defenses are always one step behind. It is an evolutionary arms race where one side is always losing. And bedbugs took that arms race to its logical extreme. But why is this so deeply disturbing? First, consent does not exist in this system. The female has no choice. She cannot refuse. She cannot escape. If a male is stronger than her, she gets stabbed. Her body is a resource to be exploited, not a partner to cooperate with. Second, this is an evolutionary arms race with no end. Females evolve the spermolege to reduce damage. Males evolve sharper, more efficient stabbing organs to penetrate it faster. Females evolve thicker spermolege tissue. Males evolve even sharper parameres. Back and forth, generation after generation, each slightly more violent than the last. And here's the thing. This is not rare. This is not some weird outlier species that does this occasionally. Every bedbug reproduces this way. It is their only method. In every infestation, in every hotel room, in every mattress where bedbugs live, this is happening thousands of times. Now imagine if mammals did this. Imagine if males of any mammalian species had evolved to stab females and inject sperm directly into their bloodstream. We would call it what it is: violence. We would recognize it as harm. But because it's insects, we distance ourselves from it. We call it traumatic insemination and file it under interesting biology facts. We treat it as a curiosity instead of what it actually represents: a reproduction system built entirely on female harm. And the worst part? Evolution allowed this because it works. Males who stab females reproduce more successfully than males who do not. Females who survive being stabbed pass on their genes. Natural selection does not care about suffering. It does not care about fairness. It only cares about what produces more offspring. Traumatic insemination exists because, from a purely genetic perspective, it is incredibly effective. And that is the nightmare. Not just that it happens, but that it works. What's even crazier is that bedbugs actually aren't alone. Traumatic insemination has evolved independently in multiple insect groups. Some species of bat bugs do it. Certain flower bugs do it. Plant bugs in the family. Miridae do it. It is not common, but it is not unique either. In some species, it is even worse. Male bat bugs will sometimes stab other males by mistake. They cannot always tell the difference between males and females, so they just stab anything that might be a potential mate. The stabbed male does not benefit at all. He just gets injured for no reason. Flower bugs take it further. In some species, Males have evolved fake sperm-alleged tissue to protect themselves from being stabbed by other males. Think about that. Males evolved a defense against their own reproduction strategy because they kept stabbing each other. But bedbugs remain the most studied, most extreme example. They've been doing this for millions of years. Their entire reproductive anatomy is built around traumatic insemination. It is their biology. It is not just disturbing because it is violent. It is disturbing because it works, because natural selection rewarded it. Because millions of years of evolution looked at this system and said, yes, this is efficient. This is evolution without morality. This is what natural selection creates when the only thing that matters is passing on genes. And if you think that is disturbing, you are not wrong, because it is.